Hi everyone, how are you doing today? I hope you're well and enjoying whatever it is you're doing right now. Now, just recently, I've been using YouTube and doing some research and looking at a lot of different language lessons that people are doing to teach you guys better English. Some of them are really good, but to be honest, some of them are really strange or really bad, and if you talk like the people in these lessons, you're not going to get far in life. So I've decided I'm going to do something and try and make my lessons even more creative and help you even more. I've seen from the statistics on my channel that you guys seem to really like lessons with describing pictures and describing things. I know in exams this is used a lot to describe things. So I'm going to do a description lesson, and I'm going to give you a story today. And what I did is I found 50 random pictures and put them all on the timeline, and I made a story out of these 50 pictures. It's a very strange story. I haven't actually made it yet, but I imagine it's going to be. And it's describing the pictures and the story. So see if you like it, try it, and then let me know what you think, if it's a good way of learning and it's a good listening exercise for you. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't be, but just let me know. And as always, actually never I said this before, subscribe to the channel if you like it, then you can get more lessons, it can help you with language learning, you can tell me what you need and we can do it together. Okay, so enjoy the story. It's going to be a little bit random, but I hope you enjoy it. Have a nice day everyone, and I'll speak to you later. Bye bye. Our story begins with a woman. She is the heroine and the main character of this story, and this woman's name is Leica. Her parents called her Leica because she always used to sit by the lake, staring out across the turquoise water, meditating. She used to sit on the wooden boards and stare out over the water. Now, Leica used to live in a house that was out in the middle of nowhere. It was a small white house with 2 rooms, and she had a beautiful view of the stars every night. During the day, Leica used to work in a factory. The factory was very boring because it was only full of cardboard boxes. She often used to wonder what was inside the boxes. So one day she had a look inside the box. Inside the box were many, many toys. They came from all over the world. Plastic toys of action figures and cars. And she thought, oh, this is not really something for me. So she opened another box, and inside the box were some dice. She thought to herself, I can use these dice to make a decision. So she made the decision to trust the dice, and she rolled them. She said, if the dice rolls a 1, 2, or 3, I will stay at home and continue my job in the factory. But if it's a 4, 5, or 6, I will go on a journey and go and see the world. So she rolled the dice, and she rolled a 6, which meant she was going on a journey. But she had to decide how she would go on this journey. She thought, shall I walk? As she looked down at her feet with the red laces tied, and thought, it would be good to walk, but maybe it's too far. So then she thought, I will take a bus. She thought about a big London bus sitting by the side of the pavement, waiting to take her on an adventure. But then she thought, I'd like to do some exercise while I go on my journey, so perhaps I should take my bicycle. Now, her bicycle was propped up against a blue lamppost where it always sat waiting for her to get on and ride it. Just at that moment, some fireworks shot off over her head and illuminated the whole sky. She thought, this must be a good omen. I will take my bicycle on the journey. Now Leica thought about the long journey that was ahead of her. It was like a long road stretching off into the distance. And she thought, I'm going to see many strange things and meet many strange people. So maybe I should take someone with me on this journey to help me. So she decided to take her friend Karim. Karim was her best friend, and so she asked him to come with her on the journey.
He put his arm around her shoulder and said, "Of course I will go with you. How will we go?" Now Leica described that she will go on her bicycle, and Karim said, "Yes, I also have a bicycle. I love doing tricks and flying through the air on it. We should go on the bicycles." But Leica felt a bit uneasy about going on two bicycles, so she said, "We should buy a tandem bicycle. Both of us can ride together and we can use our energy to go even faster." Now, Karim said, "We should take some things with us on our journey. What should we take?" The first thing they thought about was food, and Karim said, "I have a watermelon at home. It is very juicy and red inside and will give us some nice food." So Karim said, "I will go to the kitchen and go and find a watermelon to eat." But when Karim got to the kitchen, it was so full of things and such a cluttered mess that he couldn't find a watermelon. The only thing he found, though, was their dog, Guapo. And Guapo barked along, "Row, row, row. I should come with you on the journey too." But both Leica and Karim said, "No, it's too far for a small dog. You only have small legs." So the only thing they found in the kitchen, they went back to the kitchen and left the dog there, and they found some fruit. They found a banana, an orange, and an apple. They said, "Yes, that will be perfect to take on our journey. We can eat it along the way." Karim said, "Maybe we should take some other things, like some tools or some spanners. I have 4 silver spanners here that will help us on our journey if our bikes break down." He also made the suggestion of taking some drill bits, but Leica pointed out that they didn't have a drill with them, and they would not need to drill any holes on their journey, so they both decided it was best not to take the drill bits. Leica said, though, maybe it would be good to prepare themselves for the journey, like doing a self-defense course. They can learn to kick and punch, and they can deal with any situation that they will come up against. They both thought it was a good idea, and they took a self-defense course. They also took a drawing course because they had a packet of crayons that they found in their bag. The crayons would be useful for writing messages and postcards home. So once they had all the things that they were going to take with them, they climbed to the top of a hill near their city, and they looked out through a green telescope at the landscape ahead of them and wondered what the journey would have in store for them. Leica thought about what it would be like to soar over the city like a giant eagle looking down, and as they went through their journey, she could look down over the snowy mountains and across the peaks and ridges. Leica used to wonder about a lot of things. For example, what if little green men came down from space and tried to take them away? But then Karim said, "Don't worry about that so much. You're more likely to meet a little green snake with beautiful scales curled up on a branch. Don't worry about these things. We won't know until we go and find out." So they both sat down at a pub and said, "We shall have a beer and calm down and think about our journey." So they went off on their journey, and they saw many wonderful sights, such as the Colosseum in Italy. It was such a beautiful monument and building that they decided to keep on going. They passed rivers with old abandoned boats. This boat is covered in growth of plants and trees, and this boat was, I'm losing the plot a little bit now. This boat was not suitable for their journey. They also saw lots of strange people. They met them, such as a woman made entirely of gold, with flowers around her head and glasses and red lipstick. Leica got back to wondering, maybe we should have just taken a plane, and she looked up in the sky as 3 planes passed overhead. They were silhouetted against the clouds in the sky. But then they said, "No, we must keep going, for there are beautiful statues of angels with wings that we must see on our journey." Kareem had the idea that they should go by water and decided, let's get some canoes. So they got some blue plastic canoes and paddled their way down some rivers. But soon the water turned very rough, and it seemed like they were surfing on surfboards, and it became very dangerous. One moment, Laika looked down, and inside her canoe was a big spider with 8 legs. She was terrified of spiders and thought, how can I get rid of it? She looked inside her bag and found a nutcracker. She thought, I wonder if I can crush this spider like I crushed the shells on nuts. They will all get open and I will be able to eat the lovely nuts, and the spider would leave them alone, maybe if I gave him a nut. This all started to get a bit silly, so Laika and Kareem decided to get back on their bikes and go cycling off into the distance again. Soon it started raining and it became very cold and they became wet and their clothes were soaked through, and Laika started thinking about her life in the city. She wanted to go back to her beautiful city with her beautiful house and go back to life. But then something very strange happened. She got a hole in her clothes and she decided she needed to fix it. So she found a small shop, and in the shop was a sewing machine. And she asked the person in the shop, can you fix this hole in my clothes? The person said, yes, of course, but you will have to pay me in something strange. She said, what can I pay you with? Can I not use money? And the person said, no, you must use a pencil sharpener. You must pay me with a pencil sharpener, a small green plastic pencil sharpener. Well, Laika lay in bed that night after this experience and stared at the ceiling. She was wondering, what can I do in such a crazy world where I have to pay people with pencil sharpeners? And she tried to count how much this journey would be worth it to her. She thought, maybe I can count it on a calculator. I can press in some numbers and it will give me an answer. But she realized she couldn't use a calculator. She then thought about an old-style money counting machine. Maybe that will help me count my experiences and see what this journey will bring me. So far it has only brought me a number of very strange things, the least of which was seeing a gorilla sitting at the side of the road in the bush, holding a bunch of big, bright, colourful balloons. Laika's head started to spin, and she decided, well, I'm just going to go and take a bus instead. So she called Kareem and said, we should take a bus and go to the bus station. But in the bus station, there were thousands of different buses, and they didn't know which one to take. This journey was getting far too surreal. And Laika said, if I buy some presents, I can give it to people and maybe they will help us on her journey. But what kind of presents should I buy? Just at that moment, the spider which had been in her canoe crawled out of her bag, where it crawled in to hide away from the wet and the rain. And the spider turned out to be a talking spider. And it said to Laika, you should buy a present of an Egyptian tapestry on some material. It will show the pharaohs and Cleopatra, and this will be a perfect present for anyone, and they will really appreciate it. Well, at this time, Laika and Kareem started getting very hungry, so they pulled an apple out of their bag, a green, round, shiny apple, and they ate it, and they became much happier as their stomachs were full. They thought for a long time about the long journey they had been on, and the road that lay behind them, almost like looking in the rear-view mirror of a car. Just at that moment, they felt their spirits lifting and a fire started burning inside them. They said, we must go and continue as hard as we can. So they carried on travelling. The seasons changed and soon it was winter. They walked and walked and walked and met many good companions through the winter, through the cold, through the snow, until the spring came again. And finally they reached their destination. Summer came and they stood in front of the mighty pyramids in Egypt. They met a couple of random guys who they decided to take a photograph of in front of the pyramids as a memory of their journey. It was at that point that Laika and Kareem realized that their journey was at an end. Not least because there was a big yellow sign with the word end on it. But as they thought more about it, they realized their journey was really not at an end. And they decided to keep on walking. And Laika walked off into the distance to find another adventure and reach another destination. The end.